Atomfall is one of these rare games that came out of nowhere. It's included day one in Game Pass, created by Rebellion, the studio behind the Sniper Elite games, which, you know, the games where you can end Adolf in every single entry. And I had almost no expectations towards this game. But Sniper Elite games are great, despite the last three games basically being the copies of each other. So imagine my surprise when I spent hours upon hours playing Atomfall and achieved every single ending and completed every single mission, visited every single bunker in the game, destroyed each garden gnome, because yes, this is a thing that you can do in the game, and I was having so much fun, more fun than playing most of the games in the recent few months. But let's start from the beginning. So what is Atomfall? Because I see a lot of people not even understanding what it is. No, it's not Fallout. That comparison is just too weird, and because the game has similar, like a post-apocalyptic aesthetic to it, doesn't make it Fallout. So first off, it's not an RPG game. It's more of a survival game, and second, it's not really open world. I mean, it is open zone, and for some people this is equal with open world, but no, you have open zones in which you are getting into, and you have certain things, certain missions to do in these zones, and you just go and travel between those zones. Atomfall just starts. It tells you nothing what you have to do, what you are going to be doing, what you are looking for. You just woke up in the bunker. There is this scientist that needs your help. You can help him. He gives you a card. You leave the bunker. You get a phone in a phone booth, typical British phone booth, and that is it. The guy on the telephone tells you that Oberon must die to get to the interchange and kill Oberon. You don't know what Oberon is, you don't know who he is or what he is. You just know you have to destroy Oberon. That's your main goal, and the game gives you nothing more. You have to just go around the place, all of these different zones, talk to people, and maybe someone, fortunately enough, is going to tell you what you are really supposed to do and what really is Oberon and what really is Interchange. And I missed these types of games because the game doesn't give you any like clear pointers where to go, what to do. You don't just go and mindlessly follow the dot on the screen that shows you even which road you should take to get to the point of destination. The game actually forces you to talk to people, to read every single piece of paper you're going to find, because this may be something that is actually going to tell you where to find something or certain someone who can actually help you for a change. And you need to find batteries, talk to people, read the notes, explore the zones. You need to find a resistance potion for something to pass through certain area. You need to talk to people. You need to explore and read some files, because otherwise you are not going to get anywhere. And if you don't like the games that force you to actually do something like that, this may be not for you, but it really gets good as you're going and as you explore the game and as you get used to how the game actually works. It is one of these types of games you just learn as you progress through it. And the whole premise is just to kill the Oberon. And few people may be able to tell you who actually or what actually Oberon is, but some of them may lie, some of them may not be really willing to tell you, and they want you to do something that may be not really something good, and if you do it, then they maybe will go out and tell you what happened, why there is this quarantine zone, and what really Oberon is. The game itself has 6 endings, and depending on which NPC in the game you're going to trust, you're going to get a different ending. And as I can say, like, I chose the first ending that I chose was the best ending in the entire game. I just knew, because I'm this amazing, I knew who I can trust, and I went with my gut. But other endings, also can seem like they are okay, but not necessarily. Every single ending that you choose has some kind of implications, and you don't really know which one to choose, so you just have to trust certain NPCs or distrust others. Although the other option that I could have picked, the ending, was this one person who I would say is really trustworthy, but the character in the game is not really good, and this ending is not really a good ending. But I just loved this character, and I had so much laughs when I was just talking with them. And the game is set in this alternate reality post World War II, and you are in this quarantine zone, and your main objective is to get out of this zone, and you have to find a way. That's why you have to think about who you're going to trust, because you, as a main protagonist, you just want to get out of the quarantine zone. The game features normal combat. It's not like Fallout. Don't let people tell you otherwise. You have normal guns, normal shooting with the guns, just the guns that you would find in this era of history, like post World War II. You also can hit enemies with axes and cricket bot and other stuff like this. You can throw the melee weapons, and gameplay wise I'd classify that this is more of a survival video game. Small equipment, you have to manage your resources, can't hold much ammo to any of the guns that you possess. You can also only hold like 4 guns, but that also, I would say, 4 weapons, because that also includes melee weapons, and if you want to have, for an example, a couple of additional guns, you are not really able to do this, because you are able to, for an example, pick up 4 rifles, and the 5th rifle you're not able to pick it up, because you only have 4 slots for a big weapons. You can't even store them in your equipment, and up to my knowledge you don't get any chances to expand your equipment, but you have a tube that you can actually use as a storage, and you have 100 slots in the tube. No matter the size of the weapon, you just can put everything in this tube if you don't need it, and these tubes are set up all around the world, so at some point you may stumble upon them and just refill your resources. And the game also puts more emphasis on stealth. They actually heavily encourage you to play stealthy, because like you can't hold much ammo, and if you upgrade the perk that allows you to hold a little bit more ammo, the maximum capacity for a rifle was like 30 bullets. So the game actually wants you to play stealthy, and kind of funny, because this feels kind of unfinished at this point, and I would love if they issued some kind of a patch. You can hide in the places that are told by the game that you can hide in, so like tall grass or something, but you cannot hide in bushes, which there's a lot of bushes in the game, and you can't hide in them or behind them, because enemies will see you through them. So kinda, I would say, weird choice a little bit, and maybe this would need some kind of a patching, because this should be actually no-brainer in this game, but maybe it would make the game too easy a little bit. And if it comes to the enemies, you have your standards outlaws you see throughout the game. They are just walking around certain zones, and they usually don't leave their terrain. You also in one zone have the cult that hears voices. You also have soldiers of the protocol, and to be completely honest, like, you can actually gain immunity, at least from the protocol soldiers and from the cult members. If you complete certain quests in the game, you actually can just enter the terrain that are usually restricted, and you will be able to walk freely around them, kinda like pledging allegiance to certain fraction in the game. And soldiers of the protocol also have these big robots with miniguns or with flamethrowers, and you have to take them out shooting the most sensitive spots. And also in certain facilities, in certain bunkers, there is like a turrets that you have to either turn off or you have to take them out, wasting your resources. And it's up to you what type of approach you're going to take. And finally, we also have these like mutants, zombies kind of thing that glow. These types of enemies actually are usually in the bunkers. And yeah, and everything in this game basically can kill you, because some groups of birds, for an example, can start attacking you. You also can get killed by mosquitoes. So like everything in this game is kind of a threat to you, but you also can kill everything and everyone. And if it comes to the trading in the game, you have bartering. You don't have any currency in the game. You just have to barter with the merchants, and you just have to have some useless objects in your equipment, which is kind of a struggle. That's where the survival comes in, because you have to have some in your small equipment. You have to have some useless for you equipment in case you will try to buy something from certain merchant. Otherwise, you have to run and search for the tube to pull something out. And this kind of system is kind of unique. I don't see much games doing that, and it was kind of refreshing that you don't just pick up any coins or anything like that. You just have to use what you have and exchange with the merchants. But if you don't have anything to trade, but you have a lot of resources that don't take, for an example, any space in your equipment, you can just craft something and sell something you crafted. For an example, bandages, which are worth something on certain merchants. Certain merchants are going to value different items on a different price, on the different levels. So you have to choose if you really want to waste your, for an example, medkit that you're going to barter with this merchant, because other merchant in the world can give you much more for the same medkit. Kind of refreshing if you ask me. Graphically, it uses the same engine that Sniper Elite games use, and it looks pretty similar in some parts, and it's really well optimized. It doesn't go for realistic graphics, it goes for pretty looking and fun looking graphical settings and style, and it's well optimized because unlike other studios, Rebellion actually thinks, and they didn't jump onto Unreal Engine. They used their own engine that they use and they know how to use, so the game ends up being really well optimized. However, there are some glitches in the video game. A few times, for an example, I had a feeling like the game didn't really register the hit that I issued on the enemy, or for an example, few times I got stuck in some places. Fortunately enough, those are not big stucks. Like, I wasn't just locked out of the playing game. I didn't have to reload my save. I was able to get out after a few tries, but something like this is really annoying and kind of puts you out of the game. Those are small things. One of the bigger issues for me with the game per se is where you have these big robots in this video game that they patrol the terrain, and when they spot you, they get closer a little bit towards you and they start attacking, like shooting miniguns or, for an example, flamethrowers. There's one problem. If you position yourself correctly, they will just stand and not move because there is like an obstacle in the place, and the robot is not going to go around the obstacle to get to you. It is just going to stand and look at you, and if it is actually a robot that shoots miniguns, it will be able to shoot you, but it's not going to adjust its position to actually hit you if you are behind some kind of a cover. But with the flamethrower robot, it's kind of a problem because it's not going to shoot at you and you can just take the robot out of the distance. But other times, the AI in the game, the enemy AI, goes so far that the same robot that, for an example, previously would be stuck, if you die and you reload, the next time it may be the smartest AI in the video game industry and is going to go around the entire facility to get you from behind because it knows where you are and it knows how to get to you, so you are not going to be behind any type of cover from the other side. And I was kind of stunned. I don't know how this happens, that sometimes this AI is really smart, and I was actually surprised by how well done this is, and other times it would be just the robot would be standing and just waiting for me until I peek from behind the cover. Like, that's just unimaginable. I don't know what happened. This needs some kind of a fix, because the AI is capable of actually going around the entire facility and not get stuck because it knows where you are, but other times it's going to be stuck. This is the main issue that I had throughout the entire game. And the game also loves to spawn enemies anew. So for an example, you're getting into this base of the enemy in the game and you kill every single one of the enemies in this base. And after like minute, maybe you don't even get time to explore it, because after a minute the game will just start spawning the enemies anew. Singular enemies, they are going to just run towards you from around the corner. That's probably also one of the ideas that maybe creators had to like force you to just maybe behave more stealthy in the game, but it kind of is annoying that this one small base, for an example, at some points can just spawn new enemies and you don't really have the time to explore and loot everything correctly. But the problems that I named are not big problems. You can just simply play the game, and even with these small problems you can enjoy the game for what it is, and I had a blast. Overall, I had amazing time playing this game. I even committed myself and finished every single achievement because the game was so much fun to me that I just wanted to 100% everything. So far, I would say this is my game of the year for 2025. We'll see if anything other that is going to come out in the next months is going to dethrone it, but so far I am amazed by this game. It is a game that I actually really wanted, the type of game that I really wanted, the game that doesn't treat the player like an idiot and doesn't point you in every single direction. You don't have big blue dot on the screen like in Avowed, for an example. You just have to explore this thing by yourself. And yes, this game is included in Game Pass, and there's not even an excuse to not try it. If you have a Game Pass, you don't have an excuse. You at least should give it a try. It is an amazing game and I fully recommend this one. That is going to be all for me. Comment, like, subscribe. Bye.